What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode number 110 of Park to Prem here with Towel or Town. And before we get into today's episode, I just want to say a massive heartfelt thank you. Some of you will know, many of you won't. This channel, I've had breaks from it in the past, the last break coming way over a year and a half ago at this point. And going into FM20, I really wanted to try and build a community here on the channel. I felt like I had, lost a bit of touch with my audience, and it's something that I've really tried to work on with the Discord server, being more active on Twitter, replying to you guys. And it's just, it feels so good because there's a lot of effort that's gone into that, but that effort has been more than rewarded by how much you guys have embraced this series, have been just, being so positive, so nice, and it's just made everything a pleasure to do with this series. And, without kind of putting too much emphasis on it, the reality is that 110 episodes of any series doesn't happen without your support. That for me, if this wasn't getting any views, I'd go and do something else, but you guys love it. And that makes me love it as well. I love these kind of Football Manager saves, and I love sharing it with you guys. And yeah, it's been crazy. Obviously, I feel like some of it is circumstance of the time that we're living in. But for whatever reason that you're here, thank you for choosing to spend, a small portion of your day with me on the regular. I really, really appreciate it. People's time is valuable. And I'm flattered that you choose to spend it watching and listening to me often talking rubbish. So anyway, yeah, we're back. It's episode 110. I don't know how we've got to 110 already. Today we've got a live com doubleheader. It's Boxing Day 2031. We've got a game against Sheffield United to kick things off, and then we're going to be taking a trip down to the south coast for an away game just a couple of days later. Anyway, since you were last here, we have played 5 matches, and to be honest, given the opposition that we've played, the fact that we've come away with 6 points from these 5 games feels pretty good. When you look at our results in a larger context, the wins look a little bit lacking, but to be honest, I'm relatively happy with how things have been going. Of course, last episode, it was a hard-fought defeat against Man City, and you can see to close out the month of November, a 1-1 draw against Watford. 2 corners scored in this game. It was a pretty even game. There wasn't a great deal of chances. I guess the fact that we were ahead until the last 15 minutes makes me feel a little upset, but you know what? Away from home at the start of the year, I would have taken a draw. And it's weird, right? Because we are currently sat 6th in the league, but I am trying to really contextualise everything. When we draw against Watford, it'd be very easy for me to go, man, we are dropping points here. It's in 6th place in the Premier League. I'm really trying to think about it as a newly promoted team rather than the team in the position we are in now. Anyway, you can see over the month of December, we started off with 2 clean sheets. The first was against Brighton, a 2-0 win in this one, 2 breakaway goals. The first one, a really tidy finish by Sheffield. And well, Sheffield and indeed all of our strikers, the goals haven't really come through a singular player. I feel like for a lot of years, we relied on 1 or 2 players to carry us. It really feels like a team performance now. And while Shvetsov got the first in this game, and then Ricky Williams got a goal, which was lovely to see. He didn't come on off the bench. He started this game, and that faith was rewarded, which was great. The next game we had was against Manchester United, and off the back of the game against Man City previously, I did create a more defensive variant of our tactic. I felt like it worked quite well previously, and I wanted to give it more time. Another opportunity. It's a nice formation because it's very easy for us to adapt into mid-game, and it just works. Sometimes your plan B tactic or your more conservative tactic isn't one that you can just flick a switch and go into, but that's not the case here. We can do that, which is really, really nice. So we did it against Manchester United, and we got rewarded with a 0-0 draw. I guess the only thing that would annoy me a little is the fact that we did actually create chances in this game. Now, I'm not going to claim that we deserved to win because we didn't, but we did have 2 clear-cut chances, and they both came in the last 10 minutes. 2 one-on-ones missed. That game was there for the taking, but a draw against Manchester United at home, obviously I'm going to bite your arm off for that at the end of the day. Anyway, against our North East rivals, Newcastle United, we hopped along to St James's Park, and of course they've not had a takeover here in game, but we couldn't take over them in their own backyard either. It finished 2-2 this game, and actually we got off to a really good start. Molyneux at left back with his 2nd goal of the year, getting nice and high up the pitch. That is something that is required of our wing backs in this system. Charlie Brown then got a near post header. As I said, this has been a team performance. It's not the Turnbull and Shvetsov show. Ricky Williams and Charlie Brown are showing that they are good enough to score goals at this level. And while from 2 goals up at half time, we threw it all away. Yeah, it was an unfortunate game, this one. Newcastle are not a bad team at all. To be honest, they probably deserved a point from this game. It was hard fought. We had a lot of the ball, which was great to see, but ultimately, when you concede 2, it's always a bit of a challenge to get a win. And well, speaking of conceding 2 and making a challenge for ourselves, Liverpool was an interesting game. I kind of wish I'd live-con this. We lost 3-2, but that doesn't tell half the story because we were 2-0 up in this match. The first goal, Dylan Turnbull, lovely little finish. Great ball through to him as well. It was a ball of insane quality. I think it was GCL with it. And well, GCL got a goal in this game as well. I think that's his 2nd or 3rd of the season, the centre attacking mid. He's looking very at home playing behind Turnbull and Sheffield. 2-0 up at the break. And then what happened? Well, look, I don't want to throw Morrigan under the bus, but it's a football manager goal. I'm going to call it, I'm not going to blame our keeper, it's just a football manager goal. And that let them back into it. And before half-time, it was 2-2. Alexander-Arnold scoring from the penalty spot. And we battled hard, playing the defensive system. We really tried to keep them out. And we did so until the 86th minute. Well, Alvaro Moreno found his way through, slotted it home, and 3-2 is how it finished. But you know what? I'm sounding like a broken record. I probably would have taken 3-2 at the start of the season at home against Liverpool, so maybe I should be happy. The weird thing is, despite only winning one of this kind of run of games, we still find ourselves in 6th. There is a weird trend emerging with the league this year. The top 4 are really running away with it, and even then, they're not particularly close to one another. But everyone in the mid-table is kind of beating one another and drawing a lot. And it's kind of playing out in our favour. You can see our goal difference edges out a few other teams, but yeah, it's very close. We could be as low as 11th with just 1 or 2 defeats. That is the situation that we are in right now. So we can't really take our position for granted. So today, the fact that we are taking on Sheffield United, who are in 9th, who with a win would leap ahead of us, and then we've got Bournemouth as well, which we really should be expecting to win. I mean, these 2 games are actually quite interesting in the context of our season. Anyway, as well as playing the 2 games today, we're going to continue forward a little bit further, just to the start of January, because we should get an option, I believe, from the board to change our season expectations. Now, they have already given us £44 million in the transfer kitty. That was down at £15 million, but they realised, hang on a minute, we've got £100 million sat around in the bank. Yeah, have some of this to spend. So we could go big in January if we really wanted to push for Europe and the right player came along. But yeah, I am half anticipating it to go up even further. Whether or not it will, I guess we'll find out come January the 1st. Anyway, it's a Christmas fixture here. We've had a week's rest and our team selection kind of picks itself. We're at full strength and I'm starting to dig the lines connecting between all of our players. With some of our previous systems, we've not had triangles. It's always been lines between players, but now we're seeing trios emerge, which I really like the look of. And well, I like the fact we're coming up against this system. One thing I've really noticed with our new tactic is the fact that against 4-3-3s and 4-2-3-1s, it actually works really, really well, which is good to see. I realised that for position instructions, I forgot to hit Ask Assistant at the start, so let's do that now. But yeah, hopefully we can get a result here. At home against Sheffield United, I don't know if this really classifies as a local derby, but they're not a world away from us in Sheffield. To be fair, Ox, please don't get sent off in the first minute. I mean, tackle harder. Actually, he's not got tackle harder on, so that's not even the reason. But yeah, this is a game that we need to win. We've not won enough live comms today. There's 2 games that should be very winnable. This one's important. They're only a point behind us, Sheffield United. And well, we got a set piece here. Leskinen whipping it in, whips it in. Andre finds the back of the net. For a second, I thought the assistant was going to raise his flag, so I didn't celebrate it too much. From one box-to-box midfielder to another, and a player who is quickly becoming one of my favourites. Never before did I think a player who's listed as inconsistent as a weakness would become one of my favourites. Andre's becoming one of my favourites, folks. I know you're not meant to have favourites, but I do, and he's one of them. I'm just going to hold my hands up in a minute. But what a start that is. A great little set piece. It's weird, actually. This year we've looked really good at attacking from set pieces. We've also looked rubbish defending them. I'm not sure what's going on there. I feel like I need to look at my defending of set pieces perhaps a little more. Maybe some more experimentation is required. But anyway, let's focus on this game because we're looking good. Nice build-up play here. Douglas, by the way, continuing to improve. Recently, Maggi, who is listed as having 3-star current ability, his potential has dropped to 3-star. So he might be maxing out. So it might be Douglas alongside someone new as Ox. Oh my word. I mean, I talked about the left-back getting his 2nd goal of the season. He very nearly had his 3rd there. And well, I also mentioned the inability to defend set pieces, didn't I? This is worrying. They've got a corner. Back post. Andre heads it away. That's why he's one of my favourites. Can we deal with the second ball, though? That's a question to be answered. Was that Gisiel? It was. Apparently it was a free kick. That looked like a beautiful tackle in 3D. Not sure about that. And well, more defending of set pieces required as I anxiously wiggle my cursor around the screen. They've not had a shot yet after 20 minutes, and they've still not had a shot. Are we on key highlights here? We are. That was a very weird highlight for the game to show me. I feel like I need to relax more. They've not had a shot yet. They've had 40% of the ball as well. We are dominating this match. But we have also seen them have a few set pieces. And you know what? Their manager's got shouty. I'm going to get a little shouty. And it's Leskinen out in this wide position, whipping it in towards the near post. Charlie Brown not on the pitch for us just yet, although he is a good little impact sub. And he always seems to pop up at the near post with those corners. Unfortunately, Turnbull not able to get to that one, although the ball gifted to Gisiel, the Brazilian. Fred through Turnbull. Can he finish it? No, the keeper gets a massive hand on it, and that is probably the best chance that either team has had in this game. A chance for us to double our lead right before half-time goes a-begging. And well, Andre, can you do anything here? No. This feels like the pointless highlight, but I'm still scared of them hitting us on the break here. Campbell does nothing. And that's going to be all she wrote for the half, I think. 1-0 it is, and well, they started to get a little more into the play as the half went on. So I'm going to get shouty. You might wonder, Jack, why are you getting shouty at half-time? I don't want to see us get complacent. Never praise your players at 1 goal up. They go on a holiday when you do that. They just go off on a jolly. It's shocking. And we can get a bit more shouty on the hour mark here as Lazarus launches it in. Shvetsov was there, but well, wasn't there at the same time. He was like the invisible man. They've dealt with it. It's gone all the way over to Ox. What will the German do? Inside to Maggi. Look at this. We're building it from the back and we're giving it straight to them. We're so generous. McCormack skips past Ox. Can you put in a ball? Or not in a ball, in a tackle. They tried to put in a ball and kind of go wide. Nice little bit of build-up play here, actually, to be fair, by Sheffield United. Long with it out on this left-hand side. I think that's Leskinen shepherding him into the wide areas. I mean, you can see we're so compact here. One of the definite issues we have is when teams switch the ball quickly, like Sheffield United have there. And what a tackle that is by Ox. He's grabbed the ball by the horns there. And he's put in a superb tackle to prevent the ball getting in. And I think we're going to defend the corner as well. We're defending a lot of cut set pieces at the moment quite well. Could we see something here? Gisiel on his jolly. No, he's given away the ball. I'm just thinking about what subs I might want to do here. You know what? Turnbull's underwhelming me. Let's get on Charlie Brown. Matasevic, by the way, having a lovely little run of appearances off the bench, and you can see he is developing as a result. He's getting quicker, folks. 13 acceleration, 13 pace. I love it. Ox on a booking does scare me a little. I could bring in Rosano Chini to play left wing back, although he's not particularly good at it. Just having a think. You know what, Gisiel? I'm going to take you off for Volta. I feel like Volta always comes on and he's just really quick. I mean, you can see here, 17 acceleration partnered with his great first touch, great passing and great technique. He's just a bit of a... He's just a spark of energy. He's just like a puppy. You know, he doesn't really have much of a brain and he doesn't really know what's going on, but he just likes to run around quickly with the ball as, oh my word. Okay, it was offside. Mendes just headed it over from a yard out. This looks like a game that we're either going to throw away and end up drawing 1-1, or we're going to scrape a 1-0. We are in possession here, building it from the back. Morrigan, I'm barely over the Liverpool game that we played just a couple of days ago, so please don't kick it straight to them again. Shvetsov, nice build-up play. Charlie Brown is there. Can he score it? Of course he can. 4th goal of the season for him. And, well, that's game, set, and match. I mean, I just said it looks like it's going to be 1-0 or 1-1. It's like the reverse curse of the commentator. Maybe I should do that more often. Shvetsov, turning provider, something that he's done quite a lot this year. I think that's his 5th or 6th assists. Keeper got a hand to it, but it wasn't quite enough, and that's a big win. This is a huge win. Really good home performance. Great to keep a clean sheet. We could even get another. Leskinen whips it in. Charlie Brown's there. I mean, there you go. Talking of the near post headers. He pops up with another, and Yara, no Leskinen. He's loving it. He's loving that finish. I feel like there's lots of potential in our team with a Finn and a guy called Charlie Brown for some great puns. I'm sure we can get some Snoopy stuff in there. Either way, what a result. 3-0 it finishes. 2 late goals for Charlie Brown make it... Well, I feel like those 2 goals actually made the game reflect how it played out. We were pretty dominant in that game. We had all the chances, And, well, it was nice to see one of our subs just go and make sure of the result. Worth noting, by the way, Koval, who is one of our big hot prospects who I'm excited about, he's 21 now. He's actually recently had his birthday. I still feel like this guy has potential. He's been in the England youth team setup at various levels, but never made an appearance. As we've seen with Morrigan, you do get late bloomers. I've got this feeling that he could be one of those. I feel like he's got this unfulfilled potential. Anyway, I'm going to tell Andre I'm very pleased. He got man of the match, bless him. He's just doing his thing. And, well, we've got a game in 2 days, and I kind of just want to play the same starting 11. So, take a break, boys. Take a breather. You can have your 2 days off. Maybe we should just go down to Bournemouth a day before the game and have a barbecue on the beach for Christmas. Nice bit of team bonding. But yeah, really good result for us there. Unfortunately, Arsenal, who are one of our big rivals, winning. Didn't think at the start of the year we would be looking at Arsenal's results so intently, but that's kind of the situation we're in. You can see at the halfway point in the season, we are on 31 points. We got 37 points in the entirety of our season in the Premier League a couple of years ago. Blaine Neal, by the way, who was the youngster you might remember, we signed him from an amateur Northern Irish side where he was banging in goals for fun and he'd even been called up for the national team. £250 spent. He's got 11 goals in 14 in League One for Plymouth this year at the age of 19. He's also got 8 goals in 9 appearances for the Northern Irish national team despite having pretty atrocious finishing composure and off the ball. Kind of interested to see what could become of him. He's the kind of player who could really rapidly increase in value if he keeps doing it on the international stage. You know, his reputation could soar up and things could get a little interesting. I just saw Barcelona putting a bid for Fry. Ryan Fry, they've 115 million that could rise to 131 million. I mean, he's good. He's a pretty sick wing-back. I'd play this guy as a wing-back because he's got really good marking and tackling and positioning for a wide player. But I'm not sure he's worth as much as they're willing to pay. £131 million? Like, he's very, very good. I mean, they paid £111 million. I mean, his ratings aren't that great, are they? Am I mad thinking this guy's massively overvalued? I mean, who knows? Maybe some weird domino effect. Chelsea will come in for one of our players way overboard. Morrigan's got some interest from Stuttgart. Not a massive fan of that. He's got a 5-year contract, though, so there isn't really any reason to sell him, and he's pretty happy at the club. It's one thing, actually, we've really benefited from. I was a bit worried going into the Premier League we were going to end up with a load of players, getting really hyper unhappy with bigger teams interested. But actually, right now, like, everything is going so well. The support in the squad is amazing. The atmosphere is amazing. The board are delighted with how we're going in the Premier League. It's weird because I don't actually feel like we're really overperforming. I feel like we really do deserve to be where we are this year. We've been fiercely competitive in pretty much every game. There's not been a single game where we've been completely blown out just yet. I mean, you saw it against Chelsea, against Manchester City. Obviously, the draw against Manchester United was a really big result in the end. Hopefully, we can get another win on the bounce here. That would help build some momentum because we have had a tricky couple of months. Playing the likes of Manchester United and Liverpool within, the space of a week is always going to be a risk. And the thing with those kind of games is you can lose them, and it just knocks all that momentum that you had at the start of the season. So that win against Sheffield United really can't be understated in terms of what that might be able to do for us. You can see now we've got Crystal Palace in 12th, West Ham in 19th, West Brom in 17th, Sheffield United again, actually, in not too long. Norwich in 7th and Villa in 14th. There's some, very winnable games there. It does get a bit more difficult the further you look down, especially the last 2 games of the year. They could prove really crucial. Chelsea and Arsenal to play. Of course, the other thing that goes in our favour is the fact we're not in any European competitions, and given where we are in the league, there's a reasonable chance that we're going to be competing against Premier League clubs who are also in Europe, so their fixture congestion is going to be awful. Meanwhile, we're turning up for every single game kind of fresh as a daisy. Anyway, you can see more loan-ups updates here. Blaine Neal didn't score in a 4-2 win. Shocking. Koval didn't keep a clean sheet. Inangi playing for Reading. I really feel like this guy has a load of potential, and I do wonder if loaning him out was the right thing to do when I did it. I mean, you can see here he's had a load of loan spells, and he has slowly kind of worked his way up the ladder. I feel like this year he's played particularly well for Reading compared to previous years. Last time we had to go in the Championship, it was a bit of an off-season, although he was playing for relegation favourites MK Dons. Just not quite improved as much as I would like. But yeah, you can see here Maggi, the free staffing that I mentioned, apparently he might be playing pretty close to his potential, which is a bit of a shame, because I wanted to keep him in the team for a little bit longer, but let's be honest, we signed him for £8.5 million. He's been very, very solid in the first half of this season. He was exceptional in the Championship. He just looks like he's on a 7-year contract as well because of the promotional extension. The reality is that this guy's a superb kind of third or fourth choice centre-back option for us for the next 7 or 8 years. He'd be more than good enough. The fact that he's been very serviceable this year in the Premier League makes me think that if we were ever in a situation where we are playing in Europe and he's third or fourth choice centre-back, we could play him in games and not feel like it's a rotated squad. It would still be Premier League calibre players playing as our backups. Unlike Douglas, you can see here, he's got potential to fulfil, and Douglas has improved quite a bit. Maybe not as much as I would have hoped on the whole, because of course he has learnt a new position in that time, but has really good mentals, has shown some steady progression, and he's still only 20. It's really easy to kind of forget how young our team is. Our team is crazily young. If we just look at the squad profile view here, I love looking at this. Look how many of our players in our squad are listed as wonder kids by media description. 4 of them are starters, 3 of them play on the bench. And you can see here their average ratings and their minutes, they are playing a decent amount of football, all of them. The exception being Serreta, who is still developing superbly, has started 3 games this year, the centre-back. He's kind of the player who I'm looking at as potentially a long-term solution. I dislike the fact he's inconsistent, especially alongside Douglas, who is also inconsistent. It's not really what you want in your centre-backs. But I don't know, the future feels pretty bright here at Towler, and obviously this season right now feels like a bit of a coming of age. Everyone's kind of doing their bit. You can see here, looking at the goal scorers, like I said, no one's running away as being our top goal scorer like in previous years. We're not scoring perhaps as many as we have done previously, but defensively and just as a unit, much better, much more secure. Anyway, we're going to submit our team straight away for this game because we're going to go with the exact same team that played that previous match. Charlie Brown might feel a tad unfortunate to be on the bench, but I don't know. If it was 0-0 at half-time or if we've not scored at half-time, I might be slightly tempted to take off Turnbull and bring him in. Of course, Turnbull was out for the last month. He's kind of been coming back to fitness. He got injured last episode, you might remember. So that did give an opportunity for Ricky Williams and Charlie Brown to kind of alternate, and they both scored goals in that time. I feel good in terms of our whole squad is really solid. When we first got promoted to the Premier League, we had an okay starting 11, but as soon as you looked at our bench, we had players like Andre Dizelle, who's a League One quality player, as a Premier League option in our squad, who played, I think he started 18 games in our year in the Premier League. If you saw his attributes, he was awful, but it was all that we could afford. Obviously, we're back in the Premier League this time. We've got double the wage budget. We've had a year of maturing, a year of kind of really developing youngsters. I feel like we've now come into the league with a system that really works. It plays to our philosophies and our strengths. We have very, very technically gifted players with the ball at their feet. We can pass the ball around really well. And we've been doing that. And that's really cool to be able to see, especially from our wing-backs. Anyway, Leskinen, there you go. £20 million we paid for him. It's looking like a bargain. And £20 million feels a bit weird. I remember I posted on my Discord server, which if you don't use, well, maybe you use Discord and you don't know how to have a server, or maybe you don't use Discord. Discord is a bit like Skype. I'm describing this in older people terms, but it's a bit like Skype, but basically you have like communities. So instead of it being like a Skype call with 2 people, I have a Discord server that you can connect with. There's loads of different text channels to different categories. I have one called Park to Prem Spoilers, where, before episodes I'll sometimes go, how much would you pay for this guy? And I'm looking at players. So if that sounds interesting and you want to see some behind the scenes stuff, it's a good place to look. But I asked people, how much would you spend on Leskinen? I don't think anyone said above 15 million. And I said, well, I'm paying 20. He's just hit the woodwork again there. I think I could have paid as high as 30 from what we've seen so far. Obviously, he's our kind of go-to set-piece taker. He's only 20 years old as well. Loads of room to improve, and so much comes through him. There he is again. Speaking of the devil, I feel like between him and Andre, we've just got the centre-mid positions locked down as GCL skips past all his men, and if he finishes that, it's a contender for goal of the season. Not a screamer by any means, but the way he kind of danced between the defence was superb. Got 1 goal in this game, and suddenly we look hungry for more. Douglas to Leskinen. What's he going to do? I just feel like every time he's on the ball, something magical's about to happen. Maggi whips in. Shvetsov! Oh my word. I actually thought that was going in the top corner. A dominant spot to start in this game. 40 minutes gone. they are struggling. This is very similar to the Sheffield United game. I just feel like we need to get another goal. Talked about it earlier in the year, but there was games where we were scraping by, and if you just looked at the scoreline, you would have thought, well, you got a bit lucky there. You know, you've got that 1 or 2 goal lead and managed to hold on to it. But actually, it was a case of we should have been winning by a few more. And that's a trend that's kind of continuing here. We are knocking on the door here. I feel like, given how good our first half performance has been, we should probably be more than 1 goal up. And with that in mind, I'm going to tell the players I'm far from pleased. GCL has picked up a knock. I'm going to take him off for Volta, so 1 Brazilian off for another. Although Volta declared for Portugal, didn't he? I forget. He's Brazilian-Portuguese. It's very confusing, isn't it? Because I call people by their nationality sometimes, and Walter is someone who I called by his nationality, and then he declared himself for the Portuguese under-21s instead of the Brazilian under-20s. Douglas was crying in the changing room for a week, and Andre's still not really forgiven him for it. Anyway, we're pressing high and pressing hard, and Onana is in, well, I thought it was going to be no man's land. He's fortunately not given the ball away right away, otherwise they could have been in all kinds of problems. But we are in possession of the ball on Volta. He's sensing blood. Turnbull, Shvetsov. What a lovely, lovely, lovely goal. Just 2 very quick passes, just splits open the defence. Volta brings forward the ball and they kind of step off him. It's the ball by Shvetsov that I love and the run by Turnbull. Shvetsov starts to make a run in behind, then just stops and comes short for the ball. The defender's completely sold on it. It gives Shvetsov a little bit of time just to look over his shoulder, sees Turnbull, who's already capitalised onto the space in behind, and he tucks it in for 2-0. They've got an understanding. Obviously, they've played up top together now for years. But they've played up top since... When have they played up top together? Since our first championship season? This is like their the 4th full season playing alongside each other. Anyway, we've taken off Andre for Matasevic, just because Matasevic needs game time as a youngster with a ton of potential. Andre's had a good little game. He's a bit tired at box-to-box midfielder. This is our 2nd game in 2 days, so let's keep legs fresh, shall we? And well, speaking of fresh legs, there is the Bosnian. Highland now with it. Plays it Whiteox. We are ripping them open. Whipped in. Volta's there. Oh, my word. Some really nice passing moves here. Ox afforded far too much space in the wide areas. We really overloaded the middle there. The fullbacks, well, I was going to say they were tucking it in. You can see their defence is so narrow here because they've got 3 men to pick up. And Ox is just given all the time in the world to pick out his pass. He probably could have come towards the edge of the box and, you know, had an even simpler pass to do, but he didn't need to. He had faith in his ability, and who am I to question it? Anyway, at 3-0 up, I'm going to make one last change. Who do I want to bring on today? Who do I want to... You know what? Alvarez is coming back from injury. Leskinen's on 67% condition. I feel like the box-to-box midfielders are, you know, probably the 2 players alongside the wing-backs for us who do the most running. Let's give him a little rest to end this game. But what a performance today. Looks like we're going to potentially keep 2 clean sheets in a row in 2 games where we scored a lot. And that feels really good, you know, building up some momentum now going into our next 2 games. As Turnbull's through, might be offside. I think he is offside. I'm not even going to celebrate it. I can't see the linesman on the near side, but I had that feeling in my gut, and, well, it was proven right. How far was he off? I mean, yes, technically he was offside by about a foot. You could see it there, but I don't know. It's one of those, isn't it? It's a toenail offside. I don't think it would have made a difference. Anyway, that looks like it's going to be the last bit of action for this game. And 3-0 is how it's going to finish. We've bullied them there. Really feel like we found our groove. And I feel like we're only just really clicking with this system. Starting to get really, truly familiar with it. You can see Arsenal, they drew 0-0 against Southampton. Of course, who were promoted with us last year. They're down in 13th. So they're doing okay as a newly promoted team. Swansea, who came up with us, have won one of their first 19. I kind of feel a little bit bad for them. You can see with the results there, because we beat Sheffield United, we have now got a little 4-point lead over them in 8th, and our goal difference as well has really taken an upturn with the last couple of games. Unfortunately, Giselle's out for 6 to 8 days. I think that's only 1 match he's going to miss. Might be a second against Macclesfield Town in the FA Cup. Anyway, as I said, we're going to just go forward to the start of January just because I think we're going to get given the option to change our board expectations. I'm thinking I'm just going to set it to the top half finish. If we are given the choice, I probably could kind of gamble on saying, yes, European football, but I just want to maximise job security, I suppose. Leskinen got man of the match, by the way, in that game. Obviously, a crazy, crazy long shot to start that fixture, which is great to see. He is, well, he looks superb, doesn't he? His pace is a bit of a, not necessarily a weakness. His physicals aren't elite, shall we say, but we are training him in quickness as a box-to-box midfielder, and it seems to be working. Got a few more inconsistent players than I would like in our team. It's unfortunate. I get asked a lot, can you really fix consistency, Jack? And the answer is there isn't a direct way to fix consistency. You can try and give a player game time and hope that they might improve a little bit, but it's pretty, I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's very, 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 very unlikely you'll ever have a player who's listed as inconsistent then become consistent. You might have a player who's listed as inconsistent become not inconsistent, but to turn it into a positive is kind of unheard of. If you don't know, by the way, similarly to how you have attributes like all the ones you can see here between 1 and 20, in Football Manager there are attributes under the hood called hidden attributes. These are represented through personalities, through just scout reports, you might notice them. So for example, consistency is one, professionalism is another, ambition, versatility, that's how well a player can learn new positions, adaptability, how well a player can adapt to a new country and learning a new language. I'm trying to think which ones I said. Important matches. So important matches, consistency, injury proneness, adaptability, versatility, professionalism, ambition. I feel like there's another I'm forgetting, but I'm not a walking Football Manager dictionary. Not all the time, at least. So I can't remember the rest. So someone in the comments help me out. Write a list of them. You're allowed to cheat for it. I give you permission to go on the internet and find them out. And if you could name them all, then credit to you. You are better than me at retaining fairly useless information. Worth noting, by the way, Jamal Lewis has been really unhappy about the fact he's a backup. Of course, we brought him in on deadline day because I didn't have an alternative. I was always a bit concerned about his wage budget impact. The interesting thing is, lots of teams interested in him. I'm feeling pretty confident that we will at least get our money back for him. Now, considering he came in to purely be a backup, it's a bit of a shame that he wants to leave. At the same time, the transfer window is going to be reopened. We can quite possibly find that replacement that we need for him now, where we now have a month. Also worth noting, obviously, we've hit that time of the year where players can start to be approached on Bosmans. I have been very, very busy scouting players who may well be of interest to us. The ones who aren't scouted here, I think for the most part, are going to be some of our former players. So Deshaun Bernard, playing for Ashton United. How's he getting on these days? Not particularly great. What about Charlie Welland? He's playing for Northampton. Notts County. That's very awkward. I want to apologise to Notts County fans and Northampton fans for that one. A few other names you might recognise, as well as some of the bigger names. I have recently actually loaded in my Wonder Kid shortlist just into the database because I find it quite useful in a weird way that, for example, if I go on the Premier League and season preview, the names in orange here I know are real players from the Wonder Kid shortlist, so it's a kind of easy way to filter out real players from fake players. At this point in the save game, obviously, longer term, it's not going to be so useful. By the way, if you were wondering, our two key players are listed as Sheffield and Turnbull, which, I don't know, I feel inclined to agree with. You can see here, Sheffield listed as an elite striker. Not something I've really drawn attention to before. He's got 28 goals in 26 international appearances. He's insane. Meanwhile, with, not Kenneth Taylor, I didn't want to look at you, Kenneth, I'm sorry. With Turnbull, still waiting on an international call-up England. He's got 17 goals in 17 for the under-21s. Surely he's got to get called up for the national team at some point, right? I mean, maybe I'll just have to become England manager and we'll just pick all of our own players. But yes, we've got some staff that I'm going to need to renew. And then these shortlisted players. Is there any really good ones that I need to be looking at? Youngsters, Phil Woods here of Arsenal. I mean, he looks pretty solid. If we could get him as a freebie, unfortunately, because he's contracted to an English club, we can't just approach to sign him. Otherwise, I might well be all over that. It looks like for the most part, there isn't any particularly insane players there. That's the shortlisted players. I do also have, that's a shame for McLean, I do also have myself just scouting loads of players with contracts expired, something that I talk about quite a lot, but come November, December time, set your contract status to expiring, select a load of the players who appear top by value and just scout them. You can see actually there's a few more who have appeared here as players who might be interested in joining us. But all these players we could approach to sign if we wanted. There's this guy Heights who looks like a pretty good striker, probably not much of an upgrade on what we've got, but you could approach him as a free transfer. And how much would you have to pay him in wages if you were hypothetically... Okay, well, I wouldn't pay £115,000 a week for him, but especially because he's only on 18,000 right now. But you can see here, I have been busy scouting away. There's a few youngsters actually here. Axel Palavecino, he looks pretty good. He's 21, so it's a case of, is he going to improve much more than that? But obviously, if you maybe didn't have as much squad building done as we've had, there's probably some players worth checking out. Interestingly enough, there's a few youngsters playing for Real Madrid and Barcelona who are available, which is very interesting. Who was the Barcelona player? Aaron Velez. He's valued at £13 million. He's currently on £2,000 a week. He's 19, so he's not super young. I don't really want to promise that he'll ever play in the first team, but as far as just a punt on a freebie goes, his wage demands are pretty low. Again, locked in on a long-term deal. With a year left on his contract, he's currently valued at £13 million, I think I saw. Yeah, £13 million. His value is much lower, but that's because his contract's about to run out. Loads of potential, potentially. I mean, if we sign him on a free, what is there to lose, really? He can kick up a bit of a fuss, I suppose, and be an impact on morale, but I don't know. As far as kind of punts for the future go, he looks pretty good. You can see there's a few more players here we should maybe looking at. Andrew Melvin, Aston Villa. Some interesting players. But to be honest, we're in a weird position where I've got a load of money in the transfer budget. I've got a load of money in the wage budget. We've got plenty of youngsters scheduled to join us. I mean, you can see here, the list is ever growing. Our under-23s is looking pretty well set up. I would like to really long-term start to build a super great academy here full of world-class players. But for now, I don't feel like we need to go too crazy signing more players. I feel like a loan manager might be necessary soon. One player I should talk about really quick actually is Valery Orlov here. The reason I should talk about him is because we've signed him similarly to Shvetsov and Ignatovic in the past. He was a player who was playing for the Russian under-21s national team and didn't have a club. Now, I couldn't see any of his attributes, but I thought, he's probably another Shvetsov. I don't think he is another Shvetsov now he's joined us, but he's a freebie. He's on trial. It's the standard thing. You guys are pretty familiar with this concept, I think, at this point. He's on trial until he's 18. He's got a year and a half, and then he'll join us on a contract. But yeah, we're at this really kind of nice spot. Obviously, you saw it last summer, but we were able to shift on players for some really, really good money. That we've developed at our team. Our youth category rating over the summer, I feel like I've not talked about this. It was upgraded to Category 2. Obviously, it'd be great to get it to Category 1, and with the recent training and youth facility improvements, as well as the scheduled improvements to happen next summer, we're very, very... I feel like we're really close, actually, to becoming a super elite team. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself because we've had a great first half of the season. But I feel like the foundations are in place, things are in a really good spot. Probably should evaluate some of our players who have contracts expiring who are younger. But, for example, a player like this guy, Matteo Mosnier, is he ever going to be good enough for the first team? Probably not. Would it be a shame to lose him on a free? Maybe a little bit, but then he joined us on a free and he's probably never going to play in the first team. If I just sort by contract expired or expiring, you can see here, these players here, players with contracts expiring in the next 6 months. There's maybe a few here who I should be looking to retain, but even then, the ones who look like the better players of the bunch, is he ever going to play for me, my first team? No, he's not. So with that in mind, maybe it's not such a big deal. Anyway, just as a reminder, we're not going to play the game against Crystal Palace. I just want to get to when the transfer window opens. We have actually got a few youngsters joining us, but I think we might also get an opportunity to change our expectations for the season. That is, unless we don't, because they recently revised the budgets, which would be a bit of a shame and a bit of an anticlimactic way to end the episode. One other thing, just while I remember it, it's kind of good at this point in an episode where I'm remembering stuff. So in the development centre, we've had the youth candidate review. It's a terrific group of players and could be a golden generation. I feel like we get this every year and then they're kind of potato, so I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but I am a little bit excited. We've also got Patrick here. Now, I feel awful, because the YouTube comments told me how I'm meant to say this guy's last name. It's a South African last name, and it's not said Delamini. It's said, I want to say it's Glamanini, but I might be wrong there. Glamanini? I might just call him Pat. Postman Pat. No, I can't do Postman. We've already had a Postman this year. Maybe another Postman? I don't know. If anyone has any nickname ideas, I think it's Glamini. It might not be a G, but it's definitely not said with a D. It's really difficult because I get people explaining how names are pronounced all the time, and obviously if you're South African, you see that name and you go, well, that's an obvious name to pronounce. And then someone else will go, that Iranian player you've signed, you say it like this. I can't retain pronunciations very well anyway because I'm an idiot, but it's also very difficult to remember just kind of nations and languages rules behind pronouncing certain combinations of letters. I don't have that kind of mental comprehension. Anyway, it doesn't look like we're going to even get asked to sort out changing our expectations unless it's going to come a little bit after the first, which it shouldn't. It would come out today, I'm pretty certain. But either way, we've got some players joining us, so we might as well talk about them. So we've got Abeson joining us, or Adebson. Where did Abeson come from? 28. No, he's 18 years old. I can't speak. We've hit that long point at the end of the episode where I've been talking for too long, apparently. But he looks pretty good, ball-playing defender, I think. We've got this guy who is Parviz, and apparently AG has said, like, I think that's how you say it. That's a horrible sound that I'm making, but I think that's how you say it. So it's like, Parviz Hazamani. Hazamani? I think that's how you say it. Again, let me know. Apparently it's a throaty sound. I don't know what sound it is. Someone wrote it down for me how it's said, and it was just like throaty noise that you won't be able to make. Which, I mean, I appreciate the acceptance that I'm just not going to be able to do a good job with it. We've also got Mahono here joining us, another South African. I'm going to sort out their training in a sec, I think, just off screen because I'm just talking too much rubbish. We've got Pizarro here, who I don't think has a work permit. We can apply for one. Well, we'll find out next time if you got one. If not, I'm probably going to have to loan him out, but he looks really, really good. I don't know how he would fit into the first team, in truth. Also, did I give him £62,000 a week? What was I doing? I wish I could tell you what I was doing. I don't know. That's mental. Did I misclick? Did he ask for 6,000 and offered him 62,000? He's the second highest earner at the club, and he doesn't have a work permit. I think we're just going to end things there. I mean, it's been going too well this year. I knew I must have ballsed up somewhere, and there it is. I mean, he's very good, though, but 62,000? I've misclicked there, clearly. I think I've typed in the wrong value, and now I'm realising. Oh, wow. Okay, let's just absorb that in and take a rest. Thank you for watching today, folks. As I said, really do appreciate it. Some superb results. Very happy. Thank you so much if you got to the end of the episode as well. I know some people just turn off at the end of the last game, but I feel like there's always some useful nitty-gritty details to go into. And, well, Football Manager is a game full of those. But yeah, that is all from me today. I'll catch you on the next one. It is me, Jack, and I will see you tomorrow.